In the election 2016 segment tonight, Cruz versus Rubio. Things are getting nasty on the campaign trail between Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, with each presidential candidate accusing the other of misrepresenting their respective records on the issue. This week, Cruz was challenged on Fox News about what seemed like his past support for legislation that would have granted a pathway to legalization for illegal immigrants.
It sounded like you wanted the bill to pass.
Of course I wanted the bill to pass, my amendment to pass. What my amendment did is take citizenship off the table, but it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that I supported the other aspects of the bill, which was a terrible bill.
So how will this immigration battle affect the 2016 race? Joining us now in San Diego, syndicated columnist Ruben Navarrete, and here in New York, Republican pollster Kellyanne Conway. Ruben, I'm going to start with you. Break it down for us. I don't want to go into the weeds about how an amendment is attached to a bill and whether or not the person who writes the amendment wants the bill to pass or not. Tell me where Cruz is right now on immigration and maybe where Rubio is. Who's telling the truth, who's not?
Ted Cruz is in real trouble here, and I got to say this. I've known Ted for 15 years. He's a friend of mine. I very much hope that when this is all said and done, we'll still be friends. But I got to say, he's in trouble here because where he has typically been very consistent and strong on immigration, and Marco Rubio has ironically been the one who's been all over the map and inconsistent and seemed to contradict himself, now those roles have reversed. And now everybody's very clear about where Marco Rubio stands and has stood, and Ted has muddied the waters, basically now advocating, saying that he proposed an amendment to a bill that would have legalized undocumented immigrants. But no, while he supported the amendment, he doesn't want to legalize undocumented immigrants. Okay. You have to think really hard to wrap your head around that kind of logic.
I
do. I'm
going to ask Kellyanne right here. I do have to wrap my head around that. And I don't want to debate how bills work and the amendments work. But has Ted Cruz flip-flopped on the issue, Kellyanne?
No, and I respectfully disagree with Ruben completely. You're absolutely right that Marco Rubio's position on immigration is very clear. One of these two senators stood by Chuck Schumer and Barack Obama as part of the Gang of Eight, and one did not. That is what Republican primary and caucus voters are going to know and are going to take into the ballot box in a couple of short months, Eric and Ruben. Marco Rubio started this fight by locking arms with Chuck Schumer, yucking it up. There's endless footage of him standing at podiums with the Gang of Eight, pushing for amnesty. Now, what Ted Cruz did, Ted Cruz, you don't want to talk about legislation, but it's important for us to know that there's something called a poison pill in the law and in legislation. Legislation, it means that you offer amendments to a bill trying to expose what you don't like about the bill, and ultimately these help to kill it. We don't have Marco Rubio, Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama's idea of amnesty as law today, Eric, because people like Ted Cruz stood up against it. Last night on this network, on Hannity, Senator Mike Lee said Ted Cruz was 100%.
So you load up a bill with amendments so that it fails because there's too much
you want it to fail because you don't want the Democrats to have 12 million new voters.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Ruben. But here's an important question. I think the voters who are watching right now, Hispanic voters and non-Hispanics as well, want to know. On one side of this debate, you have Donald Trump, very, very strong against illegal immigration, et cetera, reform, whatever. On the other side, you have a perception of Marco Rubio being the softest on the issue. Where is Ted Cruz? Is he in the middle, and who is he closer to, Rubio or Trump?
This is very much the problem. When it suits Ted politically, he'll be on one side. When he suits him in a different direction, he'll be on the other side. The problem that we have here, very clearly, is
completely unfair. Have you even looked at his website? Go to tedcruz.org. What do you see? 11 pages on immigration reform. Excuse me, you can't just make this up.
And polite and let you speak. Let me speak.
Have you read it? I read the entire plan.
Don't change the subject. Don't change the subject.
I'm interested in thinking.
Here it is. It's very clear. We've all seen those courtroom dramas where they say to the witness, "Are you lying then, or were you lying then, or are you lying now?" If Ted Cruz wants to go with this, and his supporters and his surrogates want to go with the idea that this was a poison pill amendment, that's fine. All he has to confess to is that he lied back then when he said it wasn't a poison pill amendment.
When he spoke to people, what are you talking about?
When he spoke to all those groups and said that he wanted the bill to pass and that the goal of the amendment was to get it to pass, either Ted lied then or he's lying now. And any supporter out there who wants to back Ted Cruz has to come to grips with this fear that if he lied then, he may well be lying now.
He tried to get the word lying there. I hope you're getting $500 per time you said Ted Cruz lied from someone, Ruben, because it's completely
It's very hard to match it all together. You can't piece together all the different narratives.
Well, see, here's the deal. I don't know a billion things about a billion things, but I know voters. That's what I do. I'm a professional pollster. So I want all the smart people who are watching tonight, the voters, to go to tedcruz.org and read on his website what his position on immigration is. You don't have to listen to pundits. You don't have to listen to people who want to call him a liar. And you will see on there.
No, Kellyanne, here's the thing.
No, what's evolved is that he actually goes a lot further. He goes a lot further. He is with Jeff Sessions and Steve King on immigration now, and he said it the other night in the debate. What he said was, go and look at my website. You can see everything you need to know. And I believe in the wisdom and discernment.
You also got that wrong. You can't filibuster me. You got that wrong. There's actually daylight between Jeff Sessions and Ted Cruz. Look it up. They both separate on the idea of legal immigration. Jeff Sessions proposed an amendment at one point to limit legal immigration, and Ted Cruz broke with Jeff Sessions over that because Ted supports legal immigration. So there's plenty of daylight there.
No,
as a journalist, I got to say, I like Ted a lot, but as a journalist, I like Truth more.
I like him, but I call him a liar 50 times in one broadcast.
He's got a problem.
Here's the thing. The Republican primary and caucus voters see locking arms in the Gang of Eight and amnesty and pushing for it. As Senator Schumer has said to the New York Times, the facts are the facts. Senator Cruz was always against it. Senator Rubio worked really hard day and night to try to push it, and he was the front guy out on the podium with it. So the question for the voters is thus. Will you be able to forgive Marco Rubio for his position on amnesty? Basically,
and I think
right after Mitt Romney
I think the voters need to ask themselves, do they trust Ted Cruz? You can like Ted all you want, but if you don't trust him when he's telling you something, it won't do any good to vote for him.
And that really is what it's come down to, less of where they are or where they are now or where they came from, whether or not there's a trust issue now. Marco Rubio is saying there's a trust issue with Ted Cruz. The Ted Cruz supporters would say, no, he's never flip-flopped. You're misunderstanding the point.
And here's what the Rubio people want this contest to come down to. They want us to not talk about substance. They want you to look at these two senators the same, and they want it to come down to two young senators, sons of Cuban immigrants, who has more friends in the Senate, who's more likable. Voters don't look at...
Gotta leave it right there. Kellyanne Rubin, great debate. Thank you very much.